Hmm. Hi again. My name is Hari Om Vashisht, and this is my session number 830. Wow, I have been long in this journey, or not really. Uh, doesn't even matter how long I have been in this journey until I have revenue. I am on a spree to optimize my funnels and meet my goals. I often do not meet my goals, but I keep on exploring the depth. Now, I'll share my screen and I'll come to the point. But I think I'll have to take a pause, or I can hold it. Uh, you can go, so it's okay. So, uh, the project is supposed to continue from here. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, never mind. Right. So I see the screen and I'm updating the title. Okay. Today is day 30. I'm deep into identifying patterns in my project. Patterns. Patterns. So, in a way, I'm identifying patterns in my own execution and correcting them with the anchor of my long term goals. Considering my short term goals, iterating on my templates, and using artificial intelligence in the process. Okay. So, so before I start, I'm going to start taking notes from my Notion meeting notes taker, which is what I have been optimizing in a way that I don't have to take meeting notes. Okay. This is my meeting with myself. This is like a exposure of my method of building, right? So, what do? I build systems carefully. I go into depth of what I'm building. Okay. So I think I'm almost not really discarding, but taking a huge pivot from about this time in yesterday. So until yesterday, I was trying to do was I was going live, building systems, like hacking on my templates and customizing few things. But at the end of the day, uh, I felt like I'm not really moving towards my goals. And in the initial few days, I also stuck, got stuck into some tangent rabbit holes. Cloud, cloud. What was? I don't even remember the name. Open cloud. Okay, so now that is technically out of picture. I have said no to it very carefully. Currently, I have been preparing a checklist for my own session, and I did not carefully choose to follow the template I have been following, right? So, what did I do today was I am technically supposed to review my yesterday's session. Then I have to create a new page. It is automatically done by the help of Notion now. And now I'm coming back in a template that I want to focus on building, right? So I want to focus on the revenue. I want to focus on optimizing the funnel more carefully. So the topic for today is building agents. This is why they still fail customer queries. So I have built two prototypes, two agents until now, up until now. The second one is the real daily use agent. The first one was kind of a hypothetical agent, which I think I wasn't really able to finish, and I have kept it on a parallel track to slow it down so it doesn't push me back. Okay, so I have one technically responds with the help of the data library from the ecosystem. So it only answers the questions related to the data library, right? That is what I'm pitching. That is what I'm starting as a um, new session. So I'm picking up the business problem. Business problem is customers asking the questions about the business, right? When the agent is supposed to answer, there are a lot of things that agent should not do, and that is where the guardrails come in, right? So this is, I'm going to be following a template now, framework, which I'm going to be following very often from now on. Okay, so let's focus on the opening part of the session. I've been long in the session already. I think I must also check if I am able to broadcast it well on my. Can you please check? I think the child is crying outside. Okay, so we are here. If your customers are asking questions that your system should already be able to answer, this session is for you. That's the opening hook. That should have been there. I keep on digressing from the here, from the history that may not matter for the person who's exploring this for the first time. Okay. Today, I'm breaking down why business struggle to answer customer queries consistently, even when they already have the information. So it's like there's a lot of business information, and there's a lot of information that also gets generated on the fly. Now, it's technically somebody's job to update those documents, update the agents meant for answering the questions related to those documents, right? Now, no introduction about yourself, no background story, straight to the problem. That's what ChatGPT suggested, but I didn't follow. Hey, okay. Now it's about the problem. Customer keeps asking the same question. Your team answers differently depending on who replies. And although it's like the age old problem that has been solved quite long time in the back in the history, but what I'm saying is that these agents are not really utilized to answer the things, to do the things they are meant for. They, we have a lot of compute, a lot of powers, a lot of things that the agents can do carefully, and we have not utilized them very well. So I built an agent to answer my questions related to the end users questions related to the document. 20 minutes. Okay. So the issue is not lack of knowledge, it is that your system does not know how to answer. That is the structure. That is the thing that I'm proposing as a builder, as a beginner Salesforce ecosystem builder and researcher who thinks, uh, knows a bit about the platform and the architecture. And I am always in a research oriented mode to understand my assumptions and meet my goals. Right. So I always think of the hypothesis I'm working with. This leads to confusion, delays, and inconsistent customer experience. Hmm. At this point, your business depends on people explaining it instead of system being able to explain itself. So that's what I'm proposing. That's what actually ideally should be happening, but it has a lot of conditions applied, like that the system should be optimized in a way to actually keep on doing it and not do the things it is not supposed to do. Right now, it says let's simulate a situation. Customer asking about your program pricing. Okay, and you may not have all the information, your agents may not have all the information, if they are not designed in a way, if if the agent is not able to explain the pricing or the project or anything, it's not the ideal agent, right? So now let's look at the question. The question is, let's say a customer asks, how exactly does your program work? This is my agent exposure. It is like a scenario it is describing. So I'll come back to my Salesforce account. This is my Salesforce account, and that is my Trailhead account. Give me a sec. That's it. Okay, so let's look at the playground. How much do I understand this? Hmm. And I think I understand only a bit because the ecosystem has been evolving from last about 25 years here now, and I have picked up this thing a few days ago. Okay, so where are we? I'll jump to my data library, data cloud. Data library exists within data cloud, right? And I may be wrong at some points, so I'll keep testing and verifying and proceeding. I don't really have a co-pilot, which I believe should be there, like there is Gemini. I can try to ask questions, but as a beginner, I don't have much, which with the help of the builders behind Salesforce. So the beginners don't get much of a support from the. Now I'm not really saying that because the Trailhead is such a beautifully designed product. 15 minutes of between. Okay, so we are looking at the data cloud, data streams. I think I added a few. No, this is not what I did. Data library. How much do I have? Okay, I'm not able to look at the data library. So let's slow it down. I mean, I should have been prepared more and better for this session. 15. नो नो ये चाहिए मेरे को ये रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहे हैं नो नो ये रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहा है नहीं रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहा है वो यू गो ओके so we have Einstein Studio, and what does it do? It can predict, it can add predictive models, there are generative models, there are retrievers, and we are not going to work on it at the moment. Let's jump to the setup. So let's take it slow. That's what I will propose. It says we can define, build and manage semantic models to deliver consistent data analysis, valuable business insights. Wow. So, so what I recently understood is that there's no point playing catch up with the evolution of the industry because every day there are so many evolutions that a beginner cannot even dream of like learning all of it. So what I'm doing is I'm creating my own niche with my elements and my skills, picking up from where I can. Okay, so let us see where we are. No, Vinny. Okay. So we are getting and my machine often is not able to manage the load of my operations. So I'm slowly committing to upgrade my machine as well, kind of in a way that I would be pitching to the sponsors in some ways, and I hope I would have someday soon. So, what do we have at the moment? I'll take a moment. Okay. Uh, so we are in a live demonstration where how I have created a library, right? So this is the library I'm using behind my agent, and behind also is only a PDF file of huge data which has been later chunked and worked on by the system. There are a lot of there is a lot of what do we say, um wax on wax off exercise, which is what is the element of my confidence behind building systems. Hey, okay. So this is the project description PDF, which is about 3 MB file and has been uploaded. Wow, about 2 months ago, February, March, and April. Mm. Now let's see what it shows us, what it tells us. It says it is ready, so it has been chunked and broken down into parts. But there are ways in which we can choose to chunk it, right? So it may be depending on the paragraphs or smaller and bigger, but I may not be able to describe the best case scenarios. It's like the exercise I'm going through. It's like the process of doing things, and I'm following the library. This is the basic content process, and there's an you adjust your content processing settings, intelligent context in data cloud. So this is where we define how our content processing is customized carefully. So let's also parallelly open the agents. I have with a lot of agent scenarios, not much, but been experimenting with my own. Okay. So when one system keeps on loading, I go back and expand on things. Now there's an intelligent context, there's a document AI, it can be rebuilt from here. It says from prompts to precision, test sources for search accuracy through LLM driven intelligence. Hallucination is kind of a very common thing within Agentforce ecosystem. Basically, who the artificial intelligence ecosystem enabled by like AI always often faces this thing that it generates answers from where it doesn't even understand and it cannot even explain. That is where grounding and the concept like guardrails and intelligent context come into picture, which is where Salesforce has done, I think, quite a remarkable job to keep it grounded and not lead to hallucinations. Okay, let's see what it says about our document. I mean, I'm going deeper into one rabbit hole. Let's look at the real agent configuration, build versions, to be very specific. Okay, so it says this is a document which has about 8 pages. And what did I do in a very open-ended way? I simply exported my website, converted into a PDF file, and submitted it to the Salesforce data library, which is like the dumbest method, but the raw method to start building, right? We can optimize anything on the top of it. I understand there can be ways in which this document should be rather a maybe a MD file or text file which can be read easily rather than having a PDF file. And the setting section is not opening up. I don't know. There are things that this enterprise grade system. Wow, and I have not seen this element before. Compare with the source, so it is also breaking down the chunks. See, why are there only few? There are only 12 chunk sequences. Oh, I can explore the chunk in more depth. Wow. Okay, these are the texts. This is one chunk. So the problem often in these chunks is that um, if an answer is a part of two different chunks, the agent will never be able to answer the question very clearly, right? So it is necessary to understand and design the content files in a way that each chunk takes care of the each set of sections, answers, domain categories, or I would say filters in which you have designed. So for example, um, maybe let's use artificial intelligence to think more about it. That's what I do well, I believe. So we were talking about a system, right? Will not jump to the end. It's a system clarity problem. Your business already knows the answer. I would be sending this to the prospects soon when I have more confidence, maybe in the framework I'm following, or I'll start with that, what I have. Okay. Describe for the live session that what is how does the size of the chunk matter in the form of agent responding the answers based on the chunks. So uh, I think I went deeper into a part of what I have understood to some extent. This is a high leverage concept. It says leverage is something that I'm building from this live learning session, live learning and building session, because again, as I said, there's no point in playing catch up, right? So I'm building my own niche in a way that the that most of the players cannot. That is, think out loud, expose the way you think. Right? I am very much into uh, talking about like doing the things that I do very well, doing the things in a way that I do very well. So okay, there's something I am trying to verify. How long I have been in this session? Because okay, and I have it for about 22 minutes. Okay, a strong recommendation. Start here. Your Salesforce knows the data. Oh, where am I? Okay, how the way how the way you structure knowledge determines the quality of the answer your system gives. That's what I was saying, but these are maybe the better words to describe the situation inside your session. Let's make a customer ask, how exactly does your program work and what should I expect in the first 2 weeks? Right now, the answer to this question already exists in your business somewhere. This anchors the concept in reality. So, because the context, the way agents understand is always broken, is always in some systems, right? And as humans, we are often not able to meet the system's requirements to build with them. So we are always in a mode to build context for our agents, and I'm building a context for my agent to tell me the pattern to improve. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes से गर्म हो जाएंगे जब फिर लाने में दूंगा. Okay. So when we understand, there's a question from a customer, right? Your system tries to answer, but it depends on how the information is stored, right? Now, if the chunks are too small, if your knowledge is broken into very small pieces, like scattered into FAQs or tiny notes, the system picks up one piece, right? The whole information is not there in the one piece, and it breaks, it fails, it doesn't connect the dots because it's not the real LLM, right? It has passed all the information through the LLM. Now it's picking up one note, and that fails. Program duration 6 weeks. Answer becomes, this program is 6 weeks long. Technically correct. Context is missing, and the incomplete answer, right? So that is where the answer is not grounded, not chunks are formatted carefully. The system answers correctly, but not completely. Now, when the chunks are too large, if your knowledge is stored in large chunks, the long document or full page, entire document, too much information. Long, unfocused, confusing. Now the system knows everything but cannot focus. And that's what a business doesn't need, right? That's what a business doesn't want to fall into a trap. Then there's one more thing that I have put in my to-do list to explore. That is agentic unit of work. Oh my God. Um, a human unit of work is still not defined. Okay. Step four is the real insight. So the problem is not whether your system has knowledge, it's whether the knowledge is stored in a way it can be used at the moment of question, right? And it is not even picking up a lot of things. So I'll ask some questions from here. Define the right chunk. A good chunk is not defined by size, defined is by the complete usable idea. So we need to understand the queries, right? Tararat. Connect to Salesforce Agentforce. Knowledge base articles, case responses, Agentforce outputs. If your knowledge base is poorly structured, your agent won't fail because of AI. It will fail because of how your system thinks. And you need to enable your system to think carefully, right? So business impact is often not really visible in the clear eyes. You cannot look at the business and say, yeah, this is the root cause. There has been a lot of failures of like dominoes effect, and when we see the outcome, it's technically tripped by something very deeper. Mm. So too large is bad, too small is bad. Close the loop. So when the agent gives bad answer, don't just fix the prompt. It's like, so my agent is not yet tested. I'm looking at these things in a fresh way, in a way that I'm also learning and explaining. It's like answering a question from book. If you read one sentence, you miss context. If you read the whole book, you lose focus. Mini structure. It's it's a guide book for me. So now let's get into deeper. What should be the next question? If there's a huge business information that needs to be chunked for responding to the customer queries, what are the ideal ways to think about the size of the chunk? Because these are the questions that maybe my client would be asking sometime soon in a way that I need to answer, right? It says you are asking the right questions. What chunk size? No, that's not the question. How should I think about chunking business knowledge so the system can answer correctly? Core principle is this: there's no ideal size for a chunk. Yes, there's only an ideal unit of meaning. Okay, and it says chunk is equal to answerable idea, the smallest unit of knowledge that can fully answer a specific type of question. Think in terms of questions. Most important, don't chunk by paragraph, tokens, or document size. Chunk by what questions can this piece of information answer completely. So what I now realize that each document can be chunked differently, right? So if mm, there is a lot of long FAQ that can be divided into parts, we will rather have it into different documents, right? So no partial facts, complete context. That's what is required. This is a good answer, yeah. And we need to test our answers, test our agents. And that is where what I will come back to, how to test an agent in near future. So I will add that to my Notion meeting note taker to give me a task for plan my session 2 minutes to um carefully go into the depth of how to test your agent. Today we were talking about data library and how such issues create business long-term problems, right? Chunking is not just a structure; it's about knowledge in this, not dependent on other chunk, not assume hidden context. A good chunk has clear questions to answers. Wow, questions it answers. Oh, sorry, I read it wrong. It says enough context to make sense, one core idea, language that matches how answers, customers ask, no dependency on external explanation. So what I'm technically trying to show you maybe in a way that my chunking is not done well. Let's look at my chunking. Like look at this chunk size. There are a lot of questions. There's a lot of text. It's not about one text, one element of the project. It's like everywhere. Okay, and when it is everywhere, it's not really able to answer. It cannot answer the question very well. All these chunks are, I must say, stupid. So if an organization at the scale of, let's say, thousands, millions, maybe whatever, this document, if it is used as a data library document to answer the questions, it will fail. And I must redesign this document to answer the questions of my agent very carefully. So, but yes, my agent, my test library, I'll just look at that. Testing center, right? My testing center doesn't show me the latest version of my agent, which is like sad part. I'm not able to solve it. Like, oh my god, I mean, there are a lot of things, problems to be solved, but my agent testing library, testing, what is that? Testing center only shows V9, which is not the latest version. My latest version is V14. I must connect with some industry experts to find the solution or find ways to find the answers. So I'm not really good at with the root cause analysis. That's all for today. I wanted to get into the depth of one business problem, right? And slowly I will get into a habit of doing better at actually delivering. So that's all for today. Have a good day. Good night. See you tomorrow in more depth on the same topic.